Hey y'all, it's Tammy with Collard Valley Cooks, and today we're putting together our chicken and dressing. I'm going to devil some eggs. Chris has got a turkey on the smoker, so I'm just about to throw the dressing together. I thought I would let you guys see the ingredients. I hope you're having a great Sunday. Alright, so I've already chopped up onion and I've already chopped up celery, but I don't have them finely chopped. So I was just going to use my rocking blade and finely chop my veggies before I get them in the pot. Now, I know a lot of people want me to use food processors and different things like that, but I'm going to tell you, it drives me nuts having to clean them. I'd much rather use these blades and just rock it back and forth a few times than have to get out something that I've got to clean a bunch of attachments on. And, you know, if that's what you like to do, then of course you should do it. But everybody, you know, is different. And I just don't like the extra mess. So, I'll be so glad when we get our new cutting boards in. He says they're about ready to ship. And so these are beautiful cutting boards, but they're not real wood. It's really just painted from Aldi. They were only $15.99. But I actually have a guy making me real wooden ones. And I'm excited about that. So I should have them by Christmas at least. All right, that's good enough for me. And then we're going to do the same thing with the onions. Now that's the rocker, and if I got out my blade that I cut them with, because there's a couple of pieces. Do you know where my blade is? Oh, here it is. There's a couple of pieces of celery that are a little bit too big for my liking. I'm just going to go through here and chop it. That's actually faster for me. The rocking blade's really cool for herbs and stuff.
It's really a pizza cut. It's either called a rocking blade or a pizza cutter. Some people call them pizza cutters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, that's more like it for me for that. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to throw our dressing together. So the first thing I'm going to do is use a big boiler. I call these boilers. That's how I talk. And I'm going to rake this into my boiler. And that way I ain't got to worry with picking it up. There we go. First thing in, we're also going to use a can of cream of chicken soup. Even if I have homemade broth, I still do this because I think it makes it light and fluffy. And if you don't want to use a can of cream of chicken soup, then don't. But you can go ahead and do my recipe and just don't use it. Okay? We're going to set this to the side for a sec, and I'm going to slice up some bread. You're going to want to use about 5 slices of bread. You can use any kind of bread you got. I happen to have some hamburger buns that need to be cooked, and I use my good fresh loaf bread when I can cut these up to go in my dressing. Some people use crackers in their dressing. Some people use bread in their dressing. Some people use old biscuits in their dressing, and for the most part, it's all about the same thing. You're just trying to incorporate something in there besides just cornbread. My mama used bread, okay? And that's what I'm used to. My granny used biscuits, and I will say, if you use biscuits, it makes a good dressing, but it's a denser dressing. So once it gets to room temperature, it's not going to be light and fluffy anymore, so keep that in mind. I'm going to cut up this one little piece of wheat bread just to make up the difference in my loaves.
And you get the bonus sesame seeds.
Oh, yeah, that's true. These have sesame seeds.
Sesame seed dressing.
Sesame seed dressing. What about that? Okay, so we'll put it in a pot. Actually, I'm going to fold these in last. So we're going to get over here to the stove. And I have this recipe in my cookbook. It tells you exactly what to do the day before, exactly what to do the day of. Just letting you see that. That's in our volume 1. And I've had quite a bit of people make it already because it's been on the web now for a couple of years. So we use half a teaspoon of salt. We use a half a teaspoon of pepper. Let me grab my pepper from over here. We use about 3/4 of a teaspoon of poultry seasoning. Now, poultry seasoning, I like McCormick, and it is got sage in it. That's the #1 ingredient, but it's got some other things in there too. Some rosemary and thyme and a tiny bit of nutmeg. It's just really, really good. Okay, so we've got that in. We're going to use 4 cups of broth from our chicken yesterday. I'm going to shake this up. And when I cook my chicken, I tell you to put a half a stick of butter in it so you can see that butter floating on the top of this. That's almost 4 cups right there. So let me get out just a little bit more. That one was sealed. Did you hear it pop? It was sealing because I had it on that hot stove. All right. 4. Let me make sure that's what I've got. I've never went by a recipe. It says 4.5 cups. I've never went by a recipe until I made this cooking show. And then I had to start measuring everything because you don't want to give somebody a recipe and it not be good. I guarantee if you make this, you'll like it. Now, I make a 1.5, a recipe for 1.5 recipes of cornbread. In other words, a 2-cup recipe of cornbread, I use 3 cups instead. And I only put in about 3/4 of the cornbread. That drives some people crazy. But let me just say, mark it half, and then mark it half again. And you're going to leave, part of it out. And the reason you do that is because if you don't, you're going to have so much cornbread that you're not going to be able to fill up your dressing pan. And it's going to be too thick, in other words. Now, when you make cornbread for dressing, you see how light this cornbread is? You cook it at a lower temperature than you would normally would, and you make it in a pan. And my mama always said that dressing was better made with a lighter cornbread. So she would never have made it in an iron skillet and got it real dark or anything to make her dressing. And I'm sure she tried it different ways throughout her lifetime, and I just listened to her, and I don't even try to test it out. Okay?
And for those of you that drives crazy right there, if you can calculate how much we need to make, let us know.
Yeah.
Because that's just how much we use.
You can use a little extra if you want to. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt nothing. And then you can
eat it.
You can eat this with cornbread and milk that morning, or
you don't have to throw it away.
I mean, yeah, you can make some cornbread, fried cornbread with it, or whatever you want to do. All right. So the only thing we got left to go in here now is our chicken, our loaf bread, 2 boiled eggs. So let's grab a couple of boiled eggs out of my thing over here. I'm going to make some eggs too in a minute. And a lot of people are like, why do you put boiled eggs in your dressing? I do it because Mama did, and it's good. And if you don't like boiled eggs, it's not going to make no difference. Your dressing's not going to taste like a boiled egg. It just gives it some flavor. It's good. All right. Now I put in 2 raw eggs. One. And a lot of people are asking me, why do you do that? Well, you put a raw egg in. You put in a raw egg when you make cornbread so it fluffs up. So you also put it in here so that it'll lift it up and make it fluffy and make it delicious, okay? So let's see. We've got in our chickens right here, our cornbread's in, cream of chicken's in. Our loaf bread goes in. Eggs, boiled eggs, onion, celery, salt, pepper, poultry seasoning, chicken broth, chicken bouillon, 2 cups of milk. Okay, so I've got to put in the chicken bouillon. Now I use a Knorr chicken bouillon. I'm actually going to break this up. I should have put it in my broth and mixed it up with a wire whisk. So I'll put it in here with my milk. 2 cups of milk. I'm going to turn this eye on and start heating this up a little bit. Now, if you make your dressing a day ahead and you put it in the refrigerator, you can, actually I'm just going to pour this in there. We're going to heat it up just a little bit so I can get this bouillon incorporated in there good, okay? But anyway, if you mix this up a day ahead and put it in the refrigerator, when you get it out of the refrigerator, make sure that you put it on the stove top and bring it to a simmer, a small, a low boil simmer, just to heat it up good, to make sure all that gets mixed in good. You see how runny that is? That's going to make some amazing dressing. Look, there's a dark spot on something. What is that? Oh, that's my bouillon. So we're going to let that bouillon kind of marinate down in there. Then I'm going to pour this in a baking dish, and I'm going to bake it. Now, you need to allot at least a couple hours to bake your dressing, especially if you like it thick like I do. I like to cook my dressing about that thick, or at least that thick. I don't like dressing that's real thin like that. And I'm just going to pour it right back in this pan that we had the cornbread in and bake it in there, okay? And once this heats up,
get your bread.
We'll fold the bread in. This is the chicken going in. Now you can see why we only use part of the cornbread. That's the chicken. I always boil a chicken the day before I make dressing. That's how I get my broth. Our turkey's on the smoker. And so now it's chicken and dressing. Okay? Good stuff, y'all.
Check the temp on that turkey. I haven't heard.
All right, I'm going to look at the turkey temp.
Haven't heard her go outside in a minute.
He's checking out the temperature on his turkey.
It's not this.
It says 133.
Okay.
That turkey's got to start cooking a little higher. Okay. Do you want to go check the temperature on the thing?
Yeah, let me go make sure.
All right, he's going to go check the turkey temperature. I'm going to take it out there with you.
Oh.
I think it'll stay on here. Y'all, if it gets cut off.
Don't do it.
I won't do it in case it gets cut off. So we'll just go ahead and get this bread. I'm gonna have to just stand here and hold this for a second, y'all. We'll just stir this. How's that? But see how nice and runny that is? That's how your dressing should be. It should have enough liquid in it that when you pat it on the top, when it gets in your baking dish, it jiggles and wiggles like that. He'll be right back, y'all. And then we're gonna make some deviled eggs. Okay? And I'm gonna fold this in before we cook it. I have got a recipe in my Volume 1 cookbook for deviled eggs. We use yellow mustard, mayonnaise, sweet relish. I use a little bit of sugar, some juice from the relish, and of course the egg yolk. Here we go, Christopher. So, when you boil your eggs, you should bring your water to a boil, then drop your eggs down in there with a spoon. Boil them for about 12 to 14 minutes, according to how big they are. Rinse them off with cold water. And if you do that, when you go to peel your eggs, I'm going to show you how easy it is. Now, these have been sitting right here in front of this air conditioner, so hopefully it hadn't affected them. But they should just peel real easy for you if you do it that way. So we're just going to throw them down in here. We're going to do this real quick. Oh, I put my... Usually I do this first, and then if I make a couple of ugly ones, those are the ones I throw in the dressing because nobody knows, you know. My recipe is for 6 large eggs. I pipe my filling into the egg as well to make it pretty. So y'all will get to see that in a minute. How was the smoker?
It's running.
Doing good?
Yeah.
But see how easy they're peeling, y'all? I just rinse them off in the water. Easy peasy. You know what? I used to think that making turkey and dressing and all that was so hard, and it took me forever. But I'm telling you, if you get up and you do your chicken the day before and you have it wrapped up in a container like I did and you have your broth poured up, look how fast that was. There ain't nothing to it. There really ain't. You just kind of got to prep the day before. Don't cut up your onion, though, the day before. Stink up your refrigerator, though. That egg didn't do good. One dud out of them. I'll leave it in there and eat it.
One bad egg.
Yeah, we'll leave it in there and eat it after we get off the air. It'll be my protein for the day. All right. Now I'm going to slice these in half and pop out the yellow. Wow, that one about hit the floor. All right, we're going to pop the yellows out of these. Lay them on here, and the tip usually goes towards the inside. Maybe I'll have enough. I don't know if I will or not. I didn't even count them before I boiled them. I just put as many eggs that would fit in the bottom of my saucepan in there, and that's what I made. And then 2 went in the dressing, and then 1's a dud. Uh-oh, that one broke.
Another bad egg. It's alright, you got enough, don't you?
Yep, got just enough. So we'll get to eat this one as a taste test when we're done. Okay? Now let me show you how to do it. You give me 2 spoons. Hey, Christopher. I need you over here, darling. Okay, so we're going to take, we're going to use mayonnaise. Now, if you want the actual recipe, go online and you can get it. But I'm, cooking by eye right now because I can. Put some juice in there with it. That's the same thing as putting in vinegar and a little sugar in here as well. And then mustard. And then I take a fork and I smash it up. Now I use a round bowl so that I can take the fork and mash the yellows against the side of the bowl. And they'll get really creamy if, you do it that way. Mash them up really good. And some people get out their mixer, but you don't have to do all that. Even when you're taking it through a pastry bag. If you just use your elbow grease and you press it enough and just keep mixing it. And it doesn't hurt to taste it a little bit, but I can tell it needs just a little bit of mayonnaise. because it's not quite fluffy enough for me. Oh, we got to put a little bit of pepper in it. Black pepper.
That's getting hot.
I'm going to turn it off. Okay, it's off. Alright, let's get these in the eggs so we can be done. We're going to sprinkle them with a little smoked paprika. Or paprika, whatever you got. It don't matter. Okay? I love making deviled eggs. It's fun. They're pretty. You can make you a cone out of your parchment paper. Put you a tip down in there. But if you're going to do it, make sure you get a tip that's large enough that the pickles can get through the end of it, okay? Well, just make a mess, see? That's what I like to do. Here we go. My pickles are getting stuck after I told y'all not to let them. Let me get a fork or something. Why are you doing that? I extended you so you wouldn't do that.
Got some big pickles.
Apparently, this must not be the brand I'm going with yet. I think I'm going to do this. I may have to get out a different tip. I mean, I'm going to have to. There it goes. Let me run and grab my other tip, for heaven's sakes. I bought a cheaper brand of pickles at Aldi, and they're bigger.
It keeps disconnecting.
I'm sure it's fine. We're almost done. This is the one I should have grabbed to start with, and I didn't. You're catching me. Okay. Here we go again. Now I've wasted some of my filling. Now, let me show you this tip. It's big on the end, so it's going to work.
Definitely gonna go through that.
Yep, I should have used it to start with.
Why don't you just put some on top of that? Nobody's gonna know.
Well, that's true, but that one was really full. Okay. I gotta get every little bit of it because I'm gonna need it. Now that I've wasted some of it in the bag. Okay. I'll never forget, y'all, when I was in high school, we worked at a bakery. It was a wonderful bakery in Cartersville. But the baker's wife made deviled eggs one year. And my mother was excited, you know. And bless her heart, she mashed up the yellow part of the egg, y'all. And she didn't put anything in the egg mixture. No salt, no pepper. I mean, nothing. And my mother was like, oh my gosh, those have to be like the worst deviled eggs I've ever had in my entire life. And I was just a teenager, and I remember that. Everybody likes deviled eggs. Now, some people like them with pepper in them. But we didn't grow up eating them that way. I'm not going to have the extra for my taster. There you go. All right, let's sprinkle it and we'll be done. There we go. get to eat one. So good. The bomb. That smoked paprika is so good on those. All right, we're gonna get this in the oven and get it to bacon. I got my oven on 350. And I'm gonna use my old dressing pan. I'm not gonna get out my pretty pan. I'm gonna use this old greeny looking dressing pan. That smells so good, y'all. I just want to mix it up good so that that bouillon gets down in there and it's mixed in there good, okay? That we put in there. Yeah. All right, we're going to put it in this pan and bake it. Gotta do something with this cornbread.
Sit it on the... Okay.
I'm just going to brush it out a little bit and spray it. Because it had cornbread in it anyway. All right, I'm going to use my olive oil, spray this, and we're going to get this in the oven. That way it'll be easy to clean up, okay? I've got my turkey neck in here I'm going to make some giblet gravy with. And I'm letting her simmer with some, what do you call it?
Herbs?
Meat tenderizer.
Oh, meat tenderizer.
Because nobody wants a giblet that's tough in their gravy. It's gross. Tastes like rubber. Somebody thinks that the boiled eggs get like rubber, but they don't in my dressing. I don't know whose dressing they're eating, but they ain't eating mine. To me, I think it's just a little bit dry looking, but it's because I heated it up. I'm going to put just a little bit of broth in it right quick. But see how full that is, y'all? I might take a little bit of it out and put in another pan. Ooh, that looks good. Woo! I'm making a mess. That looks good. I'm putting this in the oven now. I'll put a piece of foil in it just in case it wants to drip. You can see how it's already cooking and trying to stick to the bottom of the boiler. So if you heat it up and get it to, warm, make sure you don't leave it in there long. Thanks for watching Collard Valley Cooks, where we cook like Mama did. Volume 1 cookbook.